this is all about reminding and re-reminding. So anything that I've done to make a giant shift in my life is come down to, I learn these truths and they stay up in my mind for a while, and I practice them and I kind of fall off, and then I practice them again, and then I kind of stray, and then I kind of come back to home and I re-remind myself. But when I get in a place where I want to change something fast, whether it's to do with my health or my body, my finances, of course, in this case, any sort of, turbulent relationship or anything, it comes down to a constant reminder of the things that I know. It's like, get them in here. And what happens is it starts to make things move from your head down into your heart, right? It becomes more than just a conceptual idea, the energy of money, and okay, think positively, that's great. But we need to actually bring this into our life and have it move from being a great idea into something we're consistently doing. And everything that you're going through, all the transformation, that's what you're doing. That's why it feels so amazing, is because you're bringing big concepts like your own energy or your intuition or your self-love or the law of attraction, and you're bringing it from your head, from it being like something you know about, and into your heart, bringing it into your daily action. So that's again what this is like for Money Mentality. It's about reminding and re-reminding and revisiting. Money is one that it's not harder to shift than anything else when it comes to, it's kind of like a penny is the same as $1 million to the universe. It's not that it's actually hard to shift, it's that we have the most stuck ideas about it. And so we have these ideas, we have these patterns, we have this instilled belief that it's hard to make, or it's, easy to spend, or whatever it is. We have these ingrained beliefs about money. So it's not that your money situation is harder to shift than anything else. It's as easy as manifesting a free cup of coffee or a parking spot. It's just that we have a lot of beliefs and patterns and emotions about money. So it can take some extra reinforcement, because if you're thinking like, I'm going to manifest a free cup of coffee this week, there's not a lot of resistance there. It kind of seems like, yeah, a friend could buy it for me, or a stranger could, or I could find some money and put it towards coffee, or remember I have a gift card. It's kind of not a big deal. But when we think about money and changing our finances and how much we want to make, there's emotion behind it. There's stories behind it. So that is why this month we're doing this steady progression of continuously using different tools, reminding yourself, and really getting on page with what it takes to have a rock solid money mentality that brings in more income, that has you feel more comfortable with your finances. So if it's paying off debt or bringing in more income or having just more in your savings, more in your checkings, that's what we're going for this month, and we need to continuously reinforce it. Does that make sense? So today in this training, you're going to learn the energy of money, how to receive more income, what blocks abundance and bringing in more income, ways to heal stress caused by money, and then a bunch of new fun mantras around money. So first of all, the energy of money. I want to be really clear that in order to change your money situation, you need to change your energy around money. That may seem obvious, but I want to be really clear, because it's not just about finding new ways to make income. That is a very practical thing, but you need to change your energy and your thoughts and your feelings around money in order to change it. This can be difficult, like I said to you before, only because we've thought the same way about money for a long time. Often it's been instilled in us from our parents. We witnessed them go through things, or we've had debts and different times when we've either spent all this money or we've had a credit card and we racked it up and whatever, right? We have a lot of memories, a lot of emotions. So this can be tricky for people, but it doesn't have to be. I'm here to make it as simple as possible. So money is energy, right? And it's energy just like everything else. It's used to exchange goods and services. So, money is just used for an exchange. It's just it's just an energy, a way of exchanging energy for things we want. We could just as well exchange our services or our crafts or anything else. We don't always have to use money, but of course, money is the currency that we use to buy things. So that's all it is. It's a dense form of energy. And the energy we have around money And the feelings we have around it will determine how much we're able to receive, how much we're able, to save, and how to create new income streams. Money itself is not intrinsically good or bad, right? So money, a lot of people have really uncomfortable beliefs around money, meaning it's the root of all evil, meaning it makes people turn a certain way, meaning that sometimes we have beliefs that if we want more, we're guilty or we feel guilty for it. We're a bad person. That it's selfish to want money, that it's not spiritual to want money or something like that. We have a lot of beliefs around it, but intrinsically money doesn't carry any of this stuff. We put that on money. Money is just a form of energy. Money is just an exchange. If you had a lot of money and you gave $10,000 to a charity, that's not making you evil. That's not making people take advantage of you. That's not this or that, right? It's just what you choose to do with it. So some experiences are negative and some are positive with money, but it's not about the money. It's about the thing that happens. So it's the same as love itself isn't good or bad. Puppies or dogs aren't good or bad. Friendship isn't good or bad itself. But sometimes there can be bad friendships or friendships that turn bad or puppies that bite you or love that goes sideways. It doesn't mean that love itself is bad or puppies themselves are bad. I just like throwing puppies in there because it's so not serious. So again, really catching yourself in thinking that money is anything. Money will make you happy, money will make you sad, money will make you greedy, money will make you selfish. Any of these beliefs, we have to really start being aware of these. We're going to uncover some of these today, which is good. So it's not that the money is good or bad, right? I've already said that. It's that our experience with it taints it for us in either a positive or a negative light. So money itself isn't any of these things. Sometimes people do good things with money and sometimes people do bad things with money, right? So it's not the actual money, it's the people, it's the experiences and all of that. So that's the first thing that's really important to know and to really understand. And then to be aware when you catch yourself in thinking that money is this or that. So I like to think of money as a game that you play. And the more grateful, optimistic, excited, and inspired you get around it, the more you make. It's a game you play. The more excited you get, the more inspired you are, the more can flow into your experience. And this is something that ultimately is going to help you. And I love you, but I need to say that your current money situation reflects your mentality around money. And this doesn't mean that you're bad or that you have some awful mentality with money if money is tight. And there are a lot of extra circumstances. You could have had a bunch in savings, but then something big happened and you had to invest. And then now you don't have savings. Or you were fine with credit cards until you had to do that thing. And then a credit card got racked up and you haven't been able to pay it off. Again, it's not good or bad. I'm not here to judge you at all. But where we are currently is an indication of our mentality around money. So some people are really good at bringing it in, but not so great at keeping it in their bank account. Some people have, a lot's going through their checkings and maybe even some piling up, but they never really have any put away for a rainy day. Some people have tons of debt. Some people have a hard time making more income. So this is all just reflective of what their beliefs are and the habits, the things they've been taught and the patterns that they've gotten into with money. And with a lot of things in life, it really helps if you can own it. Because I'm not here to judge you. I've had my ups and downs with money. I have had things I'm proud of and not proud of. I've had my own traumas, my own times. So it's not about judgment. It's not about that you should be somewhere else. Of course, that's the ego by now, right? This is about owning where you're at and owning your stories so that we can actually change them, because that's where change happens. So you might be an optimistic person and really able to look at the bright side of life. Yet when it comes to money, it's really hard. No matter how hard you try, you're not making any extra, or it's really hard to save. So The first thing to ask is, what are my beliefs about money? If you're someone that, I mean, you guys all are, you're sensitive, you're intuitive, you're optimistic, you're good people. So if you have a struggle with money, it's just really good to inquire, what's going on? Where are my beliefs? Where can I shift things, right? So your money stories are what's holding you back. It's not just the economy or just the job you're in or just this. Of course, these are all contributing factors, but ultimately your mentality is what is creating the money story. And it's just, again, like anything else. If you are having a hard time finding the one or something like that, you might have a belief around men or your worthiness for love or whatever. So it's just, our results are just an indication of our mentality. So this applies to everyone, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you work for someone else, whether you're not employed at the moment, whether, any sort of financial situation, whether you contract your services out, whatever it is, your current situation is right around what your current beliefs are with money. And we're going to shift that if there's something that you would like to shift, which I'm guessing there is, or else you probably wouldn't be here. You'd be like, no, I'm fine. I'm going to go roll around in my money. Now we're going to talk, so that's the energy of money. So money is not good or bad. Money is just an exchange. Money doesn't make people evil. But if you believe that, it's okay. And I have the space for you to believe that, because a lot of people do. When I post about money on The Good Feeling Life, I get more unlikes and hide posts. I can see that if somebody looked at my post and chose to hide it, than anything else that I post about. Every time I do, there's a lot of people that don't like it. It's not spiritual. It's not, we don't like talking about it, but I want money in your hands. You're the person that I want money in your hands. You do good things with money. It lights you up. It allows you to travel and be generous and kind and, support causes and support your businesses and everything. I want it in your hands. So I don't want to shy away from this stuff, because it's something we really need to look at. And it's something that we can shift. Just like everything else, we can shift it. Thank you for being willing, because most people don't like talking about money. Thank you for being willing to look at it, because it can, in some people's lives, be the hardest area to look at. Because like I said, it's filled with stories and guilt and shame and different things. Okay, so how to receive more income, how to welcome in more money, how to be an energetic match for money. Just like everything else, right? If you want to bring in love, you have to be an energetic match for being loved, for having love, for loving somebody else. And it's the same thing. So the first thing is your language. So observing how you speak about money to others, and especially to the people you can be really honest around, your spouse, your best friends, maybe your parents or siblings, or, the people closest to you. Observe your language and start to hear your limit. I want you to hear when you say, I can't afford that, or I'd love to, but I can't, or yeah, good luck, or, maybe in 5 years, or those things that just come out. And again, it doesn't make you bad. It's not about being wrong or bad. It's about observing, because these are the places that our sneaky little beliefs pop out, right? Is when we're around other people, we feel safe to, be able to vent or complain or explain our situation, and out come these beliefs. So observe when you hear yourself and catch yourself thinking, I can't afford that. And this isn't about going out and just buying everything you want and not being aware of what you can afford and not. But a language switch is, I choose not to buy that right now. And that has taken me some time, but I look at it like I powerfully choose what I buy and what I don't buy. So if money's tight and I'm cutting back on money, I will powerfully choose what I'm going to spend money on and what I'm not. Sometimes I powerfully choose to eat out, and sometimes I powerfully choose not to. Go on a trip or go 5 years without a trip. But it's not because I can't afford it. I don't like feeling like that. That's a limit. That feels like I can't do anything I want. Being aware of when you feel like you can't afford it versus I powerfully choose not to. And I'd recommend, if that resonates with you, that you think about that and maybe write that down. Instead of I can't afford it, it's I choose not to right now, or now's not the time, or maybe later, or right now I'm going to not, or whatever you want to say, right? So if somebody asks you to go to a concert or you need to buy a new computer, there's a difference between like, I can't in your energy and now is not the time. I bet in about a month, I'll probably be able to afford it. Or I look forward to being able to afford that soon, but right now I'm going to choose not to. That's a huge shift energetically. That's a massive shift. So that's a one thing is your money language. Witness in the next week or month how little things pop out in conversation. You'll be like, oh, wow. Either that other people say or that you catch yourself saying. And trying to be in line with an abundant mentality. This isn't about faking. This isn't about tricking yourself into believing you're a millionaire. It's about getting in line with what abundance feels like, what your limitless, abundant self feels like. And when you're abundant, you're also going to powerfully choose, or you are abundant already, but I'm just saying when you're rolling in all the money you want, you're going to still powerfully choose to invest in things and not. You're not just going to throw your money at everything. There's going to be a time and a place for everything, right? So it's the same as now. Instead of I can't afford it, it's like, no, it just doesn't feel right now. It'd be more stressful really to buy it than it would be to hold on to my money, or right now I'm focusing on saving. So no, not the right time. And you can kind of adjust that behavior. So that's the first category on looking at if you're an energetic match for money. Is your money language, is that an energetic match for abundance and ease and flow around money? So the second one is your money stories. So this can intertwine, of course, with your money language. These stories come out, but they play on repeat in your mind, these stories, much like any other belief. So you start to believe these stories over time. So if you say, I can't afford it enough, you're going to start believing that you not only can't afford it, but you also can't afford to do the things you like, which is not a fun place to be. It doesn't feel good. It's not a match for money. It's not optimistic. It's something that will only have you feeling crappier, for lack of eloquent words. So you can choose a new story. We can work you into a new story about money at any time. And then repeating that until it becomes a new belief is basically the center and the cornerstone of how we change our money situation. So the next category is your patterns with money. So this is all figuring out and seeing if you're an energetic match for abundance and where we need to give a little bit of love. So your patterns, so healthy or unhealthy, we all have patterns with money. This is our general habits and our general tendencies around money. So do you tend to spend all you have, even though you intend on saving? Do you seem to max out your credit card even if the limit is increased? You seem to still max it out. Do you spend the majority of your money within days of payday? Do you find that, once you get paid, you kind of go, where did that money even go? I seem to just spend that, or buying things you don't actually want. I don't know how many times I've bought things that are on sale, especially clothes, that I didn't even end up wearing and didn't even like. And I really had to look at that and go, I'm all for a sale. Nothing wrong with a sale. But I would buy things. I'm like, oh, $5 for a tank top. And then I didn't even want it or like it. So observing these little money tendencies that we have, and that's me energetically trying to get rid of money and not hold it because I wasn't a match for having it sitting in my bank account, and of course growing, but I wasn't a match for that. So other patterns are, do you save? Like, do you save the amount you say you're going to? So the patterns, this isn't just about bad patterns. It's bad, good, healthy, unhealthy, whatever, right? And there really is no bad and good. You guys know that by now. It's just some serve you more than others. Are you generous with your money? When you have money, how do you like to spend it? Are you generous with it? So we all have these patterns, right? And there's of course a million other things in the way that we spend our money and the way that we save or don't or whatever. And so looking at these patterns will tell us if we're an energetic match. So when I'm buying things I don't even really want, that to me tells me that it's not about bringing in money, it's about keeping money in that little way. If I'm doubting my worth and a client comes to me and I'm really quick to give them some huge discount that now I'm not even really making much or something, that would be my pattern, is like I keep giving people all these discounts and I've got all these clients but I'm not making any money kind of thing. That would be that I'm not an energetic match for making income, for making what I'm worth. So we just tend to start to look at our patterns, right? If you get a lump sum, do you end up spending it fairly quickly? And again, this isn't judgment. I'm going to say that a million times just because it can get personal, and that's not my intention. I've done all these things. So it's not my intention. It's looking at it that will heal these things. So your patterns. Are your patterns in line with holding on to abundance, being abundant, and being able to save? And you might find that they are. You might find that as you get money, you responsibly, put some in savings, or you pay your bills, or you do whatever it is that feels good, and you feel like you don't have unhealthy patterns. That's great too, right? These are all just areas to look. So the next one is to receive more income and to become an energetic match for money. We have to heal money traumas. And this is something that I don't hear many people talking about, but I learned about a bunch of years ago, and it really was a missing piece for me. So the same way that we have personal traumas, we also have money traumas. So we've had times where we were taken advantage of, or we spent all of the inheritance and regret it, or we lost it in something. Somehow we lost a bunch of money. We lent it to somebody and they never paid us back. We charged up a credit card that we said we wouldn't charge up. There's lots of things, and I have tons of examples actually in the Detoxer blocks, lots of examples of different money traumas that we experience. So these get stored in our energy, and they get manifested, or they come out and get stuffed in there as guilt, as resentment, as shame. And this can really block us to being able to hold on to money. So if there's a time, say you got an inheritance and you spent it quickly, or whatever, quicker than you wanted to. And now you find yourself thinking, man, if I didn't spend that 20 grand so fast, I could have done this, and you feel guilty about it. When you have other possibilities for income, you're going to have a story of like, I can't hold on to money, or I'm no good with money, I'm awful with money. These things, they get in there, just like a personal trauma. If you had a personal trauma of some sort of abuse, it could affect your self-worth going forward. So it's kind of like when we have money traumas, it affects our money worth going forward and impacts what we're allowing ourselves to bring in. There's ways that we can start to heal these traumas and really know that it's not going to repeat itself, or that we can prevent us from repeating it. The last category in bringing in more income, figuring out if you're an energetic match for money. I don't expect you to be perfect. These are big things. When you feel like it's really hard to make, or you have these traumas, the process, the magic is moving through it. It's not just pop, now you're in a new reality. We have to move through the stuff. So getting excited about it really helps. Switching that language. We want to come from a place of excitement and curiosity, more like, I'm taken care of, or I can't wait for what's next, or man, it's going to feel good when that huge unexpected lump of money comes in the mail. Like, get silly with it, get excited about it. Know that there's tons of money everywhere around you, right? You see people in fancy cars and huge homes, and that might even be people in your family that are wealthy. And so, knowing that's possible, you're not excluded from being able to have more income and live a comfortable life. So start to get excited about it. I can't wait for more money to come into my life, or I can't wait for all my products to sell this summer, or I can't wait for 5 more people to join this program, or I can't wait for my next raise at work, or my next client. I can't wait for it's going to be so great, and getting more excited about money. I can't wait for that class to be filled. I can't wait. It's going to be so fun. This will help you create that high vibe state, and you're not lying, right? That's again the thing, is none of this stuff, this law of attraction, this positive thinking, it doesn't work if we just try to lie to ourselves, right? We're not sitting here, I'm a millionaire. I've said this before, but that doesn't actually work. What works is finding the way to feel a better feeling story than what you're currently in. So instead of I can't afford it, it's I'm choosing not to. Or, instead of like, oh, money's never coming, just like the next time I get paid, it's going to be awesome, right? It's like switching, because you are going to get paid at some time. At some point in time in the future, you will get paid for something. So that's going to be so great. And honoring when you do get paid, that feeling of like, here it is, my paycheck, or here it is, a sale or a new client. I knew it was coming, and start to just have a little bit of a lighter energy about it. It will really help you in switching up the energy and bringing in more income. So out of those things, so there's getting excited about money, healing traumas, your patterns, money stories, money and money language. Let me know if there's any of those that really stick out that you could use some love around. And we will be giving love to all of these, but sometimes there's one or two that stick out. Sometimes it's all of them. Sometimes there's, just one, but usually there's a couple areas that we can give some love to. So I put into some extra resources about this stuff, the energy of money, bringing in more income. These are books that I have read that I have really liked. So there's a lot of books about money out there, but I only put here the ones that I have personally read that I really loved. And I have a list of them for you if any of them stick out to you. If you're looking for a new book, they're all on Audible. And then of course there's physical copies. I'm sure there's Kindles and whatever. So there's just some extra books for you if you'd like. I have about maybe 7 or 8 of them there. Okay, so observing money stories and blocks. So this is where we're going to get into this part. So to uncover our money stories, we need to go through a little bit of self-inquiry, right? We need to really think about it. Yeah, like what do I think? I'm just going to say money is blank and see what the first thing that you think of. Money is what? Let me know some of the things that come up when I say this. Money is awesome. Money is the root of all evil. Money is hard to make. Money is a pain in the ass. Money will make me happy. Money is for stuck up people. Money is, tell me what comes up when we say this. Money is. This is a pretty direct way to get to your beliefs. And then the next one is money always. So let me know those two, okay? So money is what? A bitch, awesome, easy, not easy, stressful, not stressful, fun. The second one is money always. So what comes up when we say money always? So money always gets spent really easily, seems to elude me. Money always comes when I need it. These are our money beliefs. And we can have a lot of them, and we can have a lot of conflicting ones, right? I could say money comes easily to me and also never stays in my savings. So we can have multiple beliefs. We do have multiple beliefs that can sometimes contradict each other or be funky and confusing. It's like, well, no wonder this is confusing, because I believe on one hand it's easy to make and it's out there, and on the other hand it's hard to make and it never comes. Like, we can believe two things like that simultaneously. So how do I feel about money? This is another question to uncover these beliefs. So what comes up right away when people are talking about their income, or when somebody mentions debt, or mentions their finances, or says like anyone can be a millionaire? Like, starting to think of like, what are your feelings about money? And like I said, the best way I think, or one way, is to just observe, how does it feel when someone talks about money, when they bring it up, or when you have to talk about money? But how much would you like to make? And not just like $1 million, but like, really, what would be your next comfortable goal? So if right now you're making $3,000 a month, maybe $4,000 would be a nice comfortable next number. If you're making $500 a month or $0 a month, maybe $1,000 or $2,000. If you're you get it, right? So where's this incremental upgrade? How much would you like to make? That's sort of a comfortable upgrade from where you are right now. You don't have to share this number, it's okay. But also, what comes up when you think of that number? So when I was first starting to set money goals, I said I want to make $4,000 a month. That would be enough to pay for groceries and pay for my business expenses and pay for my own coach and my car and my blah, 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 and live comfortably and have, a few hundred, if not more, left over per month or for spending money and this in savings. And that was my number. That I didn't just jump to 20 grand, I tried to jump to 20 grand and I could not get my energy around it and it did not work. So I had to start somewhere that I believed. And what comes up when we say that? This is where our stories and our blocks lie. Very common is, I don't know how I would do that. Or I haven't done that yet. Those were my big ones. But how, right? That might be the first thing, is I don't know how. Or I've never been able to crack through that 5 grand level. So I can't even imagine 6 grand. Or I have nothing new coming up. Where's that gonna come from? I know that's the how, but how is that even gonna work? Or where is that gonna come from? I don't have any new products coming or opportunities. So we start to develop these stories. So a story in there would be, I don't know how to make 6,000, or I don't know how to make the amount of money that I want. Write down or make a note in your phone or something right now, the things that are coming up right now. Because we're in this container, we're thinking, we're sharing, we're being honest, we're here. And I would love to know what comes up when you say that number. These are the areas in which we start to uncover the things that are straight up blocking us. Is I don't know how. For me, that was so big. Is I didn't know how, and everything I did didn't work, and it's hard to sell, and I haven't done it yet. Those were the big ones. So I had to work through that, and I realized that I haven't done it yet is the weakest money story, meaning that my ego's yeah, I haven't done it yet, but no one does anything before they do it, there's always a first. A baby doesn't walk before they walk, or a toddler. Someone doesn't mountain climb to 500 meters before they mountain climb to 500 meters. To say I haven't done it yet is actually I could see through that once I actually acknowledged what the story was. We're going to go through the process here. So seeing the money stories is what we're doing. So go through your yeah buts when you think about the amount you want to make. The other things about money is, or money always, those are really valuable to find out where the blocks are. So common stories, I don't know how, I've never done that before, I can't because ... And some things will feel very legitimate. So I can't make money because I physically am unable to stand long enough to have a job because I have physical ailments going on. So that means that we're pretending the only way to make money is to go and stand at a job for 8 hours. But there's lots of ways to make money from home, or help out someone else, or make money over the internet, or safely, don't get into any trouble, or whatever. I did something for a while where I was typing out closed captions for some company in the States, and they would pay me for every video I did. There's people that do remotely contribute to blogs. There's lots of different ways that we could create money. So when we hear I can't do it because, there'll be some really super valid sounding reason, but the truth is it's a limit, and there's ways around it. The universe is abundant, and we need to believe in that in order to shift it. So then the next some stories is who is going to buy it? So who is going to buy my product? Who's going to buy my service? Who's going to want it, right? There's not enough people out there that want it. I'm maxed out at my current job or my current pay level. That can be a reason why the story that we have that we can't bring in more income, because we're maxed out in the job that we're at. It's hard to sell my products and services. So those are just some common ones I hear. I was terrified of setting money goals because I didn't want to fail, which is, again, kind of funny, but that's what we do, is I don't want to fail, so I'm not going to set the goal. But if I don't set the goal, then there's no way I'm going to meet it anyways. So you just create a fail because you're scared to fail. Anyway, the first month I set a goal about $5,000. I had no way that perceived. I didn't have all these clients lined up or any way. And it was the first month I hit 5,000. I remember just being shocked. I didn't even realize towards the end of the month. I was like, I'm going to do my finances. I was like, I had like almost exactly 5,000, like just over. And it was just mind blowing to me. When I set these ideas and these goals and these intentions to make this, and I really keep myself diligent and I keep myself aligned, because that's how fast it will happen, is how in alignment you create and you keep yourself. With the Awakened Intuition program, when I launched it, I said, I'm going to sell 5 spots. And I'm going to sell 5 spots, that's what I could get behind. The amount of money, the spots, I couldn't yet believe 10 because I didn't know who was going to buy it. But I sold 5 right away. It was 5. And I was like, oh. But I feel like I don't usually do that. If I create a program, I just kind of say like, hopefully people buy it, or hopefully people want it, or I know this is going to serve people, so I'm just going to try to put it out there. I don't set that goal. But with Awakened Intuition, I was like, F this. This is genius. I love it. And I want 5 people. I want 5 women in it. And 5 signed up, and it blew my mind. I was like, I wonder if I would have said 6, what would have happened? So taking these numbers and then energetically getting behind it, observing what comes up when you say it, is a really important part of all this. So I went through the common money stories, right? I don't know how, I haven't done this before, I can't because, who's going to buy it or want it, etc. So overcoming money stories now. So once you observe your biggest limiting stories around money, then it's time to reframe them in order to create a new story to dissolve those limits. So that's what creates a deep shift. That's what allows it to flow in, allows you to change your state about money, allows it to no longer creep in when you go to pay for dinner, or you get a credit card bill, or you, like these lines across my face, or something like that happens. Our stories creep in. So we get the credit card bill and it's like, oh, and it's filled with guilt, and it's filled with like, oh, there's never enough, and it's all that. So as we heal these stories, that doesn't creep into our life anymore, which then ends up changing what we experience. So journal about this, make this a practice. We've got lots of journal prompts coming to you in this, in the guide, the downloadable guide. There's the thing I'm just taking you through now, observing the stories, letting yourself write it out. If you are journalers, this is the best way to do it. If you're ponderers, ponder away, and really spend some time on this, because this is the secret. You can go out and try to find more jobs or ask for a raise, and that's great. But if we keep having these limits, then we'll keep spending what we have, or we'll keep having it always be coming next month or slipping through our fingers, right? So this is the place where the biggest shifts are made. We need to make goals with our energy behind it. So we need all these other tools, because just the goal can be overwhelming and we can self-sabotage, we cannot believe in it. So we need to get these energetic, tools behind it as well. Now, observe the story, see the story, ask yourself if it's ultimately true, and move through it there. Pick a better feeling story. If you do nothing else, that is a powerful system. So my story is, I don't know how to make money, or I don't know how to make that income. I don't know how that's going to happen. A better feeling thought is, even though I don't know how, there are limitless possibilities for income. I'm going to keep my eyes and ears open. I'm going to keep my intuition tuned to how I can make more money this month. And I'm just going to believe that there's a way. That at least feels better, right? And that has us start to move through the stories instead of just staying in, but I don't know how. I don't know how. I know people, I have a dear friend who's a coach, and she has not been able to make her coaching business work, meaning have clients and create income. And her thing, I've watched her for years and I love her so much. And I noticed that her story is like, I don't know how, but I witness that she doesn't ever try to figure out how. And this isn't in judgment. She's a beautiful friend. I love her. This is just how these things work. Is she doesn't hire someone, or she doesn't read books about it, or she doesn't go outside herself to try to find the answer, or believe that like, I don't know how, but this is fucking doable. This is happening. Like that grit, right? We need to start to move through it. And I'm someone that I always think like, who can I hire to help me with this? It's just how I think. And it's not because I have a ton of money or I always have or anything. It's just I know with support, I move mountains. But not everybody's exactly the same. You can change your life with a book or an online program or something else, right? But just finding the way. I don't know how right now, but I'm going to find a way, damn it, because there is a way. There's got to be a way. But it's really funny that people that want to achieve big things immediately ask for help. And I'm not saying that as a personality trait. I'm saying like an athlete that wants to go to the Olympics. They don't say like, I'm just going to do it on my own. They get a trainer. They hire someone who helps people get to the Olympics or whatever, right? If a doctor wants to, or someone wants to become a doctor, they go to medical school. Of course, you have to have a medical license, but they can't just know how to be a doctor without learning it, right? But we resist getting help because it's like it's a sign of weakness. And so if the Olympics guy was just like, I'm not going to get trained by a trainer, I'm just going to do it myself, there's a very small chance, or much less of a chance, that he'll be able to pull that out of him the way that somebody else could, right? So I definitely understand that tendency because it's perceived as strength, and it is really good to be able to be resourceful and self-aware and self-sufficient. That's really great. But when it comes to shifting things, sometimes we need to consider a new perspective, to have somebody help us. And that person can be many different types of people. But it's just about that. We have this tendency to do that, yet that's usually what it takes to really overcome, is to get that support. And remember that like the money will come because the success will come, or the inner peace, the inner shifts will come. Therefore the money has to flow after, or whatever you need to do to really realize that like, I need help. And that's something that it's actually a sign of strength. Like, I'm gonna freaking do this. I'm gonna get help. Like if you heard someone be like, I'm gonna lean out and I'm gonna run a 20K. I've hired a trainer. I've hired a fitness mentality coach. I got a blender for smoothies. I'm doing it. You'd look at them and be like, whoa, they're really doing it. Like they hired someone. Like when I hired an accountant for my business to help me to see and make sure I was doing everything right, I felt so empowered. Whereas I could probably have Googled it, but I felt empowered to be like, I have an accountant to make sure that I'm doing things, right and smart, and, I'm not paying too much in fees here, or I'm doing, so hiring that person really, really helped my mentality. And it doesn't mean you always have to hire someone. This is what we're talking about right now. Okay. So overcoming the stories, we're going to journal about it. We're going to move through these stories, really observe these, and start to pick a new story. So now we're going to talk about what blocks abundance. So you have a good idea because we've touched on it, right? Everything we've been talking about. So we block abundance when we have a limited negative thoughts and feelings about it. That's the shortest way to say it. When we have limited negative thoughts and feelings about money, we block it. When we're stressed about it, we block it. When we hate it, we block it. When we look at it like it's always out of reach, we block it. When we look at it like people like me can't be rich, or the economy's not set up for me, when we give our focus to that and we focus on it and it becomes a belief, we end up blocking it. So most of these stories have been ingrained since we were children, often from our parents and from the media. Those are the two big places, and it could be other people, but the way your parents handled money, or didn't handle money, or fought over money, or kept it a secret. I know someone very close to me that their parents never talked about money, so never taught him how to handle money. I have another friend who one of his parents had a gambling addiction. So he witnessed his mom always stressed about money and his dad always going out and blowing all the money. And like, these things get into us, right? I grew up, my mom was very poor. We were even on welfare for an amount of time. And I remember having this perception that money is really, really hard to make and we need it. And it always seemed, my mom worked so hard. She worked at glass plants and she worked overnight shifts and she did landscape gardening, physical work, to pay for stuff for us. And I was an only child. I have a sister who's a lot older, but she didn't live with us. And I was an only child in the house. And it seemed like money was really hard to make and really stressful. And we needed it more than we had. So these things get in there. So we latch onto these ideas that it's hard to make, or that it's the root of all evil, or it's not spiritual, or whatever else that it is. And we believe them, and then they become our reality. We're taught them, we believe them. They're reinforced with our beliefs and our thoughts, and they become our reality. So it's time to shift that, because you're a powerful creator in charge of your own reality, and it's time to shift that. So the same as if we believe that love doesn't exist, but we also want to find love. If we believe that we can't make money, but we want money, those block each other, right? Like we've talked about. When we want one thing and think another, it's an energetic contradiction. So we're talking about what blocks money. And ultimately, it doesn't make us a clear channel for money. And that's what all of this comes down to. We need to be a clear channel for the things we want. If we want a healthy life, we can't be walking around all day and night saying to ourselves we're unhealthy and sabotaging and all of this stuff. It's not really about how much kale we eat. It's about, are we a clear channel to welcome health in? And it's the same with money. Are we a clear channel for money to flow into our experience, to be appreciated, to be honored, to be looked forward to be excited about? You know, money's going to go where it's allowed to go and where it can flow. But if we have these beliefs, then we end up blocking it. If we have these contradicting thoughts, we end up blocking it. And as you dissolve them, you'll notice more income coming in with ease. One crazy example is I went through a huge money shift probably about a year ago. And I had this package that I was selling on this website, an oncology cancer nutrition package. And at one point I had to take it down because there was something going on. I had to restructure it. So I took this package down and somehow I was still selling them, even though I had physically removed it from the website. And it was okay because the people that bought it, I just sent them the updated version. It was fine. But I had radically gone through a bunch of shifts of like, money comes in from all different sources and blah, blah, blah. And I'm so powerful. And I'm like really in flow and really feeling it. And I said to my husband, I'm like, I sold something that's not even on the website. He's like, how did they find it? I'm like, I actually don't know. Maybe they had an old link, but I sold like 3 or 4 $48 things in a week because I just became this clear channel for like money comes in everywhere. And it was something that it's like, I still don't know how they actually found it, which I maybe should have asked them. But it was just so funny. I was like, wow, I'm becoming so powerful that I'm almost defying like the way that things should work because I became a clear channel for it. So if you feel like you're blocking abundance as we talk about this stuff, go through the section of how to create more income that we just talked about, all those different categories, really look at those, journal through them, think about them, witness your behavior and your language and all of that. Ways to heal stress caused by money. These are very practical tips practical and like a mental tips that can really help us to deal with the stress around money, because most of us have some sort of stress around money when a credit card comes or when a bill comes or, whatever. When we look at our debt, when we think about our student loan, when we think about the loan we haven't repaid or that person that still owes us $1,000, we have stress. So how to heal stress caused by money? The first thing I'm going to recommend, this is if you do nothing else, this changes the energy around money. And it did for me, and it has for clients that I've brought this to. Make bill paying a sacred time. So the time that you spend with your finances, whether you do it once a month or once a week or sit down whenever it's due and you go through and pay bills or something, even when you're accepting money, if you accept e-transfers, or a lot of my payments go through PayPal, so when I'm transferring that into my account, I make it a sacred time. It doesn't have to be like you carve out 3 hours of your time, however much time you need to pay some bills. Carve out some time, light a candle, take a deep breath, and powerfully choose to pay your bills. So just like we talked about, instead of I can't afford it, I powerfully choose not to buy that right now. I am powerfully choosing to pay your bill, to pay my bills, to pay your bills. I'm going to pay all of your bills. You get your bills paid and you get your bills paid. Try to be present and grateful to what you're paying. This is a huge shift. It's really simple, but most people do not do this just because we're not trained to think about it like this, which would be really helpful if we were trained. So grateful for your phone. You're paying your phone bill and you think, wow, if I just didn't have my phone, life would be a lot harder. I couldn't be in touch with clients, or I couldn't get phone calls because a lot of us don't even have landlines anymore. I couldn't send emails as easy, whatever else. Powerfully think about the bills that you're paying. So when it's your utility bills, man, I'm really grateful that I have heat or that I have electricity. If I chose, because I could choose to not pay it, You could choose to not pay your utility bill. I know it would get cut off eventually, but that's your free will. So when you do pay it, think like, I'm really grateful that I can do this and that I have electricity to work my blender and my lights and my heat and whatever else. It can be something when we pay for prescriptions or testing or anything medical, it can feel like this big burden, but you can choose not to do it if you really wanted to. And I know if you're sick and you need a prescription, to choose not to get that prescription or those supplements or whatever, it seems crazy. You feel like you don't have a choice, but you actually do. You are choosing powerfully to put your money into something that is going to make you feel better, whether it's antibiotics for an infection or supplements for energy or treatment or something. You can choose to do it or not. So if you're choosing it, really try to powerfully choose it. It's a huge shift. Your TV service, your Netflix, your rent, your mortgage. Think of what these things are giving you as you're paying your bill. So I really recommend sit down, light a candle or some nag champa or some incense or whatever. And I'm going to get to essential oils for abundance and crystals for abundance in a minute in this. It's fun. So you could put on some nice smelling stuff, be comfy. Try not to have it a rush thing. These are all just suggestions. Do what you want, but make it a sacred time. And think about my phone. When I pay for my phone, there was even times when I was traveling. Recently, I traveled to the States, so my phone bill was a little bit more. But I looked at it like I'm really grateful while I was in the States that I could still, text with friends and family and send my dad pictures and other things that I could do while I was gone. So yeah, my phone bill's a little more, but I'm doing things internationally. So I'm grateful that I was able to do that. So get present to the things and what they give you and how all of it is optional. All of it is optional. I know that we feel like we don't have a choice, but you choose to live where you do. You choose to have the phone you do. You choose to have Netflix or not. You choose. Even if, like I said, it's a medication that without it you'd be really sick, it's still, you can be grateful that that medication existed and that you chose it and that you could choose it. So really trying to bring that attitude to your bill paying will change the energy so that when you're bill paying, you're not just like, it's much more like if I'm donating to a charity, it's much more peaceful. Sometimes I don't finish my sentences. If I'm donating to a charity, I don't just look at my bank account and go like, oh, now I'm $40 less. Ugh. I go like, that feels good. I'm glad to give to that children's school program or, women's shelter or whatever it is I'm donating to, some Save the Dolphins fund. Like, that's good. I don't just focus on the fact that I'm down $40 or whatever it is, right? Like I donate to Blue Cross. So it's like, I don't think about it like, ugh, $20, I could have eaten out. I think like, I'm honored that I'm able to donate. A big part of like, as I make money, I always want to give back. I knew that when I started my own business. I thought a percentage of what I make, I want to give back. And I've done that. I give back. So I think that feels good. So try to bring that energy to the things like your phone, to the things like your internet, the things you choose to do. When you look at your statement, if you're someone that balances your checkbook type thing, and you calculate how much I spent here and how much I spent on food out. Sometimes I look at the food I've spent out in the month and I'll be like, a Starbucks here and a noodle box there and a something else there. And like, I'm like, I maybe shouldn't spend. And then I'm like, you know what? I powerfully chose every single one of those and they were yummy and they were delicious and they were because I'm abundant. So I'm just going to own it. And if I feel like I should cut back on expenses, I'm going to powerfully choose next month to eat out less. Do you see what I mean? It's a little bit less stressful. So be grateful for what these things have given you and try as best as you can to pay bills in gratitude whenever possible. It will really change the energy. So if you pay rent for your business space or your doggy daycare or whatever it is, think, what would I do without that thing? My dog would be home alone all day pooping in my apartment, or that's probably a bad example. I don't have a dog, so you can tell I know a lot about that. Okay, so the second point here under healing stress around money is, okay, this is fun. This could be a whole other thing, but let's just go here. Credit card debt does not make you a bad person. I think very differently about credit card debt than a lot of people do. Partly because I've been there between student loans and cat cards. Now I've got my cat on my mind. Credit cards. So I had a coach, not the coach I have right now. It was about a year ago. And one day something came up about money and I went like, I just feel bad because like I paid off my credit card and now I've already got like $1,000 on it, something. And she said to me like, aren't you grateful? And I was kind of like, for credit card debt? Not really. And she said, but that credit card company loaned you that money. And it was like this relief moment. So what I realized in this moment is that a credit card company trusted me enough, based on my credit or whatever, trusted me enough to loan me this money for the things that I needed. Whether you spent it on a whole bunch of little things or you needed one big thing, really doesn't matter. The fact is you borrowed money and you chose to pay it off over time. So whether it was a couch 5 years ago or $1,000 bill yesterday, you are not a bad person for having credit card debt. There is nothing wrong with choosing to pay for something over time. And I want that to really, really sink in. So be grateful that that credit card company trusted you, that you were able to have that resource when you needed it, whether it was 10 years ago or 2 years ago, still being in the attitude of gratitude, right? And choose to believe that there's nothing wrong with paying something off over time. If someone's like, oh, I got this great couch and I only put $500 down and then I'm paying $40 a month for 5 months, I don't know. You'd be like, cool. It's not like, oh, paying something off, that's a sign of weakness. That's a pretty bad person, you know. You'd just be like, that's a great deal, awesome. And it's the same with credit cards. So don't worry about it. It's not impacting your everyday life, most likely, even if it's impacting your credit score at the moment or something, or you've had times where it did. It's still okay. Most of us don't have people knocking on our door ready to take away our house because of a credit card. It's just something that runs in the background and we feel guilty. So I really want you to start to wrap your head around and really sink into the fact that debt does not make you a bad person. Credit card debt, loans, overdraft, it's just what you powerfully chose to do. It's just when we're in it, it feels like a big friggin' deal, but it's not a bad thing to borrow money. It's fine. So just take that off your shoulders right now if you deal with debt guilt, because debt guilt is a real thing. So credit card debt does not make you a bad person. So another way to heal stress caused by money is using scripting to create a new reality. This is where we write out a day in our life, in the life of our ideal financial situation. So I woke up today and I looked at my credit card balance and it was $0, or it was $500, another month and it'll be gone, or whatever. We write as if our financial situation, our dream financial situation, is here. This is a huge way to get around the conscious mind that's like, but this much. It allows us to dream. It allows us to think big. It allows us to go to a different place. The fourth thing is using stones and essential oils and positive self-talk when you start to feel money stress come into your mind. So as I've said a few times in this training, the thing that's really changed things for me, no matter what, is when I get diligent about it. So sometimes that's why it's great to have a coach or someone who's checking in with you every week, or you getting a new awareness, journaling. It's like these things help you to reinforce a diligence of what stories you will allow in your life about money. So using stones and essential oils and positive self-talk to re-anchor you to your belief. So if I'm feeling really stressed and I do smell lavender or put on incense, it's a little bit harder for me to be stressed. Often though, I'll be like, I don't want any freaking lavender, I'm stressed. But if I actually go there and take a deep breath, it's like, oh, okay, it's all gonna be okay. So some stones that ground, that are good for abundance and are also good for grounding, but are primarily about calling in abundance that you can use to remind you of your abundant mindset. Citrine, which is a beautiful one. I have citrine next to my bedside. Jade, quartz. I have these all written out. Pyrite, which is fool's gold. Green aventurine, green agate, moss agate. Selenite. Selenite's a beautiful one. That's that white one that's all like liney. So those are all stones for abundance and optimism with money. So those are written out for you. If you have any of those stones, carry it around and use it as a reminder of your abundant mindset, a reminder to not allow negative self-talk to overcome you when it comes to money. Essential oils that are really good for the same thing. Abundant mindset and optimism. Oh, there's a spelling in the guide. It says optimism. It's the same as optimism. Orange, frankincense, patchouli, cinnamon, and sandalwood are all used for abundance. Abundance smells for some reason are like spicy. You could use anything you want. I use jasmine and lavender for almost everything when I'm feeling stressed. If those don't call to you, totally fine, but orange is a nice one. Orange is good in like room sprays and, to kind of have an uplifting energy. So using these oils too around bill paying time, bringing that into your sacred bill paying space, and using sage, right? If you use sage, if you cleanse your space that you pay bills. Even if you sit on your bed, on your laptop, or on your couch, it doesn't have to be like a set up crazy space, but if you do use it in your office or you sit at the kitchen table and pay bills, light some sage first to just clear that energy of the negative thoughts around money. The next thing is tapping. That's actually the last one, is tapping. So tapping, if you've tried it, EFT, it's incredible. It's so good for money stuff. If you don't have to take on a new thing if you haven't tried tapping, but if it's called you already, it's fantastic. And I wrote here my 2 favorite videos on YouTube. There's 2 different people and I love everything they do. Margaret Lynch is one. She's like the EFT tapping for wealth person. She's incredible. Her book, Tapping into Wealth, I put it in the resources because it's amazing in the guide. And then Brad Yates is this guy that just, I don't know what it is about his energy, but he does tapping and there's just something so calming and beautiful where you can tap through money anxieties. So you can type in, look up these 2 people or anyone else. You could say tapping for more income, or tapping for money trauma, or tapping for debt, tapping for something like that, and find videos. And they're usually just under 20 minutes. Some are really short and you can tap through the feelings that you feel about money. That's a really good one with money. So right before I go, powerful mantras. I am worthy of wealth and abundance. Let me know if any of these stick out to you. I'm ready. I'm worthy of wealth and abundance. My work is of high service and worthy of massive compensation. I love money and money loves me. I do great things with money, right? I do great things with money. Therefore, it should flow to me because I'm super freaking generous. That's not all a mantra. You could bring the word freaking into a mantra though if you want. But I do great things with money. I'm worthy of receiving more income. I am open to creative possibilities for income. I am taken care of and there's always enough. I decide that money gets to flow easily to me. The last one there is I am supported, there is enough, I am loved, and I'm worthy of wealth. I hope that has given you some things to think about, witnessing your money mentality, flipping those ideas around it, making money and bill paying a sacred time, being optimistic to how more money can flow into your experience, and knowing that ultimately however much you allow in and decide that you can allow in will be what will happen. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. There's a thing we talk about called momentum, and if we could just all of a sudden believe fully without any limits that we could make $1 million this year, I believe we could. The thing that takes time is dissolving these limits. And it doesn't have to take tons of time, like years and years and years. It just takes a little bit of willingness, a little bit of going to it. Just knowing that you can change it. And the only time it's going to take is just the time that it takes for you to shift these beliefs. And that's okay. That's okay. This is a long-term shift. You're going to shift this for the long term, right? It can be quick when we can get on board with these beliefs and we reinforce it and we're journaling and we're focusing daily. But if you can't journal and focus daily and it doesn't call to you, just do your best and it will be shifting. You will start to notice it and then you will believe it a little bit more and then you'll see it a little bit more and then you'll believe it a little bit more and then you'll see it a little bit more. And that's this process of change. So I hope that this has served you. I know you can do this. Try small It's fun sometimes with being like, I'm going to bring in some unexpected income this month or this week. I'm going to manifest a free coffee this week. Or start with little things, right? I'm just going to bring in a couple extra unexpected dollars or a free meal. Just kind of start little and get that belief in line that like, holy crap, when I change the way I think about things, things change. And it really does. And I'm here for you. I love you. I've got your back. You're incredible. This is a massive indication of the change that's to come because you're very willing to show up. Bye.